Hi, friends. Welcome to the Hey Fundraiser podcast. I'm your host, Mary Petersen, and whether you're a frontline fundraiser, an executive director, a board member, or someone just wanting to make an impact in your community, this podcast is for you. We cover all facets of fundraising, and our main objective is to give you ideas and inspiration to help you raise more money. Join us as we grow, learn, and make an impact together. Hey Fundraiser, welcome back to the Hey Fundraiser podcast. I'm Mary, and today I want to be the person who helps you stop spending your week on donors who are not actually moving toward a major gift. So today we're going to talk all about portfolio triage and how to decide who actually gets your time and your attention this week. You might be thinking, Mary, that sounds kind of harsh, but let me lovingly say to you that triage isn't harsh. Triage is kind. It's kind to you. It's kind to your goals. It's kind to your donors because it helps you show up with focus instead of like frantic energy. Here's what I know is happening for a lot of you out there, and mainly because I hear this every single day, multiple times a day. You look at your portfolio. It's 75 or 125 names or 200 names, and you feel the pressure to treat everyone like a priority one. So you do a little bit for everyone. You follow through on random things. You take meetings that aren't really going to go anywhere. And then Friday hits and you think, I was really busy all week. Why do I feel like nothing has moved forward? So that's the promise of this episode. By the end, you're going to know exactly how to pick the right donors to focus on this week. You're going to know what to do with everyone else, and you'll have scripts to kind of make it easy. So let's start with the truth no one wants to say out loud. In major gifts, the scarce resource is not donors. It's not information. The scarce resource isn't even money. The scarce resource is you, fundraiser, your time, your attention, your follow through, your ability to keep promises, close loops, and move relationships forward. So portfolio triage is simply the act of saying, given my time and my goals, who am I going to move forward today and tomorrow and this week? Because if you try to give everyone equal attention, what you actually do is give everyone inconsistent attention. And inconsistent attention creates stalled donors, stalled proposals, stalled momentum. And I want to say this very clearly. Triage is not you being lazy, it's you being strategic. So here's a quick story. I once worked with a major gift officer who had around 160 prospects in her portfolio. And they were great people. She was a hard worker. She's very conscientious. She cared. And she was drowning in prospects. And she said to me, Mary, I feel like if I don't keep up with everyone, I'm going to miss like a big gift. And here was my response to her then. Here's my response to her now. You're missing the big gift right now because you're too busy maintaining polite relationships with people who are not engaging. The big gift comes from depth, not diffusion. So that's what triaging your portfolio gives you. It actually gives you depth. And that's what we need, fundraiser. So here's a simple framework. You're going to categorize your portfolio into 3 groups. So priority 1, these are people we can move now. These are the donors that you are actively going to get in touch with this week, move them toward a gift this week. Typically, it's just 5 to 10 people. These are your best prospects, the warmest prospects in your portfolio. And priority 1 prospects have at least 2 of these signals that I'm going to give you. 1, they're responding and they've been recently engaged. Like it hasn't been 3 years since you talked to them. 2, there is a clear opportunity for you, right? You can get a meeting, you have a proposal, there's a renewal, you want to talk to them about an upgrade, you want to make an ask in the next 6 months. Like there's just an opportunity on the horizon with this person. 3rd is there's a bit of time sensitivity. So this means like decision windows coming up, your fiscal year is coming up, maybe a program timeline, year end, a life event, just some sort of time sensitivity that you are aware of in your world or the prospect's world. And 4, you already know the next step and it's not a mystery. You don't have to plan a whole slew of things to get them to the gift. You're a few steps away from securing a major gift. So priority 1 is, it's not, oh, my priority 1 are my wealthiest donors. Priority 1 is my top most movable donors this week. Okay, so as I'm talking, you're probably thinking, okay, here's my top 5, 8 priority 1s. Great. I hope you're doing that right now. Okay, let's go to priority 2. These are the ones you want to really cultivate with intention. These are donors, prospects with potential, but they're not at a decision point right now. So typically this is 10 to 25 prospects or donors. And here are some telltale signs that they're kind of next on the horizon. So 1, they have capacity and or history with your organization, but the relationship is still developing. Secondly, there's interest, but it's not fully shaped into an opportunity yet. Or 3rd, they need discovery. You need to build trust with them. You need to understand where their values are. Like it's not the warmest of the warm relationships yet. But what they need is consistent, intentional touches. Okay, so we've got priority 1, right? These are people you're going to call this week. We've got priority 2. These are people that you want to contact in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then we have priority 3. Priority 3 is where you're going to either maintain these or you're just going to bless and release. Fundraiser, if you've listened to any of my podcasts or looked at my YouTube videos, anything, I'm a pretty hardcore bless and release person. Like I typically reach out 3 or 4 times to a prospect. If they don't engage back, I bless and release. Maybe they'll get back in touch with me, but there are just so many other people to pursue that want to be engaged that I just move on. Like I just don't churn and spin on prospects that aren't engaging, and neither should you. So let's talk priority 3. These are people in your portfolio who are not engaging, or they're just like a poor fit for a major gift right now. Like they might be a good prospect in the future, but you're not going to close them this fiscal year. So they're priority 3. Or this prospect would be served better by like another lane. Like maybe you just know they're an event giver and that's okay for now. Or, they're giving a really solid annual gift or a leadership annual gift. Great. They're going to sit there for a while. Or maybe this is, you kick it over to, somebody who works with plan giving. Like maybe they're just not at the major gift level right now. Priority 3 is the one people resist because it feels like you're giving up. And I know, fundraiser, you never want to give up. I never want to give up either. But this is not giving up. It's merely acknowledging reality and making a decision about where you can be most effective. And I want to add this. A donor can move between priorities. It's not permanent. It's triage for this season, right? Like what does the next 3 to 6 months look like, and who can you close in the next 3 to 6 months? Those are your priority 1s and your priority 2s. Okay, now let's get a little more tactical. I want you to do a top 5 triage every single week. Like Monday morning is great. Sunday night's fine if that's your thing, but pick a consistent time. So here's the process. You're going to choose your top 5 priority 1 donors for this week. And I would don't do it on Friday, right? Like do it earlier in the week. So I want you to ask yourself this question. So here's kind of step 1. Who can I reasonably create movement with in the next 5 business days? And movement means one of these outcomes. You can get a meeting scheduled with them. You can get them to review a proposal. you can have an ask conversation and plan that out. Like, it's just time for this person to be asked. It could be a decision conversation. It can be a renewal conversation, or an upgrade path becomes clear for this person. Or a next step is agreed to in writing, or a date. Like, you have something on the books. Step 2, I want you to use like this lens, like a filter. Who is already leaning in? Leaning in means they respond to you within a week. They take your calls. They take your meeting requests. They ask you questions. They reference the mission personally, like there's a connection there. And they're curious about outcomes, not just polite. So I want you to think about who's leaning in. Step 3, I want you to choose 5, not 15 fundraiser, just 5, because your top 5 is not the only donors you're going to talk to. Your top 5 is the donors you're going to move with intention this week. Okay, so I want to give you an example. So imagine your portfolio includes donor A. Okay, donor A, you've met twice, you've asked about funding needs, and this donor has said, send me something. Okay, that's donor A. That's a good person to move this week. Hey Fundraiser, before you sign up for another fundraising conference where you might leave with a good tote bag but zero strategy to raise more money, let me invite you to Major Gift Momentum. This is my private coaching group where you'll get weekly coaching calls with me, access to my full Major Gift curriculum, and a community that's actually moving the needle. Major Gift Momentum isn't based in theory, it's based in action. Members are closing 5- and 6-figure gifts within 3 months of joining. Heather just closed a $245,000 gift. Jacelyn just closed a $212,000 campaign gift. And Georgette just got a $500,000 commitment. All within 3 months of joining Momentum. Each of these Momentum members didn't think the donor would give that much, but once I taught them my method, they are raising money at a whole new level. So would you like in fundraiser? If you do, go to heyfundraiser.com/momentum and let's get started. Donor B gives $1,000 every year. She likes your posts on social media. She never really takes meetings with you. Okay, so that's donor B. Probably maybe a priority 2 or 3. And then you have donor C. This is a major donor. They say they're evaluating year-end giving. They're thinking about what's on the horizon. That's an interesting prospect. I would probably put them in my priority 1. Donor D has capacity, but you've reached out 6 times and you've gotten no response. Fundraiser, I know they have capacity, and it's the hardest thing in the world to let a prospect go that has like big capacity, because you think, oh my gosh, they can make such an impact. However, fundraiser, if you've reached out 6 times and you've gotten no response, I personally would bless and release, keep them in your communication loops, but I would put them as a priority 3. And then donor E, I'll just use as the last example. This is a longtime donor. You've got a meeting booked for next week. That's a great prospect. I would put them as a priority 1. So as you can see, like, there's a big difference between who gets your attention this week. These are people who are engaged. These are people who are making gifts. And these are people who you can close in the next 1 to 6 months. Priority 2 depends on engagement. Like, they're still engaged, but you might need to spend more time with them. You might need to understand more about what kind of change they want to make in the world and how you can match that change back to some of your programming. But they're still on your radar and you're still engaging them. Priority 3 is really, you can keep them on your list, but until something changes, I would not spend much time on them, fundraiser. So this is how you stop confusing potential with priority. Okay, now the big question is, what do you actually do with each of these groups? Okay, so priority one, you want to move them today. These donors get direct outreach designed to create a decision, a meeting, or just some sort of defined next step. So with priority one, if you're going to request a meeting, you could say something like this. Hi, Tim. I've been thinking about what you shared around your family and how they've dealt with drug addiction in the past. And I'd love to connect for 20 minutes and show you what's taking shape for our new programming that is exactly targeting individuals that have, been where your family has been. Are you open to a call next week? Easy breezy. Okay. You could also do a proposal follow-up, and you might say something like, hi, Sandra, I wanted to follow up on the proposal I sent over. Would it be helpful to talk through it together and decide what level feels right for you? And just let them respond. But what you're doing is you're moving them closer to a decision. You're also being quite supportive. Now, for priority one people who you just need a decision conversation with them, you could say something like this. Hi, Gretchen. As you think about your giving over 2026, would you be open to a conversation about what an investment could look like to fully support program X, which I know you care deeply? So you notice what I'm doing. I'm not checking in. I'm inviting to a very specific next step. In fact, I highly recommend that you don't, I'm doing air quotes for those on the podcast. I highly recommend that you don't check in. Checking in just is very kind of loosey-goosey. You want decisive action with decisive next steps. Okay, so those are some scripts and things I would use for priority one donors this week. So priority two, these are people you want to cultivate. You might not be closing them in the next, handful of months, but they're on your radar and you do want to close them kind of next. So these donors might get lighter touches this week, but still very purposeful. So your goal is to learn something new. Like, what do they want to make? What change do they want to make in the world? What do they care about? You also want to do something that's going to increase trust. You want to increase the relevancy of your organization in their life, and you also want to increase engagement. So here are some potential things that you could say to priority two donors. So you could say, hi, Maureen, I saw, and then insert a relevant update here. And it made me think of you because of your interest in this topic. Would you like a quick update on how things are going? So you can do this on the phone. You can do this via email. You can do this via text and try to get a meeting on the books. What you're doing is you're trying to align what they care about with the programs you offer. So another script would be, hi, Eric, quick question for you. When you think about the causes you support, what kind of impact feels most meaningful to you right now? So this is one that you would want to send in an email, but it's more about discovery. You want to understand what makes them tick, what's important to them today, maybe not what's important to them 5 years ago or 5 years from now, but today. So that has gotten me so many interesting conversation starters with prospects that I didn't know too well, but I knew I could move them in the next, maybe 6 to 12 months toward a gift. Okay. And then another script would be like a low lift invitation. So, hi, Mark, we're hosting a small behind the scenes tour or a conversation about program and insert your program here. It's informal, but I thought you'd really enjoy it. Would you like me to send you the details? I mean, they're going to say yes. I mean, even if they don't come to whatever this behind the scenes conversation is or tour is, they're most likely going to say yes, send me the details, and you've engaged them. So priority two is not ignore them. Priority two is keeping the runway being built with them. Okay, so priority 3, right? We're going to maintain or we're going to bless and release. And this is where you can protect most of your time, fundraiser. So priority 3 prospects, they might still receive an annual update, a year-end email, an invitation to a public event, like a stewardship touch point that's not necessarily super time intensive, but they do not get prime real estate in your mind, prime real estate in your calendar, and prime real estate with your attention. So they're not going to get your deep work time. And sometimes release is actually the best thing. So I want to give you a couple ways that you can very cleanly, beautifully hand off and bless and release people if you just need to move them to another lane. Okay, so here's like a script for a respectful transition. So let's say you're going to move this prospect away out of your major gift portfolio and over to someone who does like annual giving or something like this. So you could say, hi, Tracy, I want to make sure you're supported in the best way possible. So moving forward, Sarah is going to be your primary contact for updates and opportunities. If you ever want to reconnect personally, I'm always happy to. So you're not firing them per se, you're creating a better system for yourself. Okay, so common mistakes. And I want to talk about these traps. So mistake number 1 is prioritizing your portfolio by anxiety, which I'm guilty of this in the past. I am sure you have been too. But if your priority 1 list is basically people I'm afraid of disappointing, you're going to be busy and stuck with those people without closing a bunch of gifts, which you need to do, fundraiser, right? So here's the fix. I want you to prioritize by movement potential and decision windows, not who am I afraid of disappointing. Okay, mistake number 2 is confusing nice with engaged. I also have done this many times. So some donors, they're lovely. They're so warm and supportive, and they say kind things about the organization. And they're just day makers to be around. And they're not engaging in a major gift relationship with you. So the fix is engagement is really demonstrated through time, responsiveness, and curiosity about a gift. So if you're just circling the gift conversation with this prospect or this donor and they're just not engaging, fundraiser, you have to spend your time with people who want to make a gift. Okay, mistake number 3 is leaving cultivation vague. So if cultivating is just keeping in touch, you're going to keep in touch forever. What you really want to do is give cultivation a purpose. And it should be one of these 3 things. Discovery. Am I learning something new about this prospect or donor? 2, alignment. Am I ensuring that this person's values and priorities align with the values and priorities of my organization? Or commitment. You're having a gift conversation. So if you're just keeping in touch and circling back, none of that's going to work. And it's just busy work that doesn't often lead to gifts. Okay, mistake number 4 is trying to triage in your head. So if it's not written down, it will become emotional and inconsistent. And I only know this from past experience. So what I do is every week, I have a top 5 and I write down the next step for every single one of those 5. And so it's really purposeful, it's intentional, and you're moving people from one step to the next. And then last mistake is really having no follow-up system. So you really can't build momentum, like major gift momentum, if every week you're starting over. So Friday, I want you to close loops. Monday, I want you to choose 5 and repeat every week. And sometimes those 5 will be some that are from the previous week. Sometimes there'll be new people that you're trying to put into your portfolio. But every week, I guarantee if you're reaching out to 5 of the best, warmest, engaged prospects that are actually moving toward a major gift, your fundraising results will skyrocket. Okay, so let's put this into context. Let's make it real. So here is your weekly triage plan. On Monday, you're going to spend 20 minutes. I want you to pick your top 5 priority 1 prospects or donors. And I want you to write down the next step for each. So you're going to decide what movement looks like by Friday. Okay. Again, purposeful, intentional. Tuesday through Thursday, you're going to reach out to these people. Like I literally block time on my calendar for priority 1 donors. I want you to be scheduling meetings, writing proposals. Confirming decision conversations, thinking about, is this prospect, am I in discovery? Like what's going on and how can I move them closer toward a gift? I also want you to do some deep work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So this could be strategy prep. It could be really thinking about what is the best way that I can put forth a proposal that this person is going to salivate over. Or you can, so designing that, thinking about your ask, really, maybe drafting that proposal. It could be role playing with a colleague, like deep work to get you closer to the ask. So that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then on Friday, I want you to spend 15 minutes closing loops with prospects, a little bit of follow-up. And again, if you're not hearing back, you're blessing and releasing, moving on. I want you to log your notes in the database. Super important. Once you get this stuff out of your head and into the database, you don't have to carry it around. And carrying things in your head makes you scattered. Also, like you're doing follow-ups, you're noting next steps. If you do these things every week with your priority 1 donors, and you do the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday cadence, you're going to stop guessing. You're going to stop reacting. And what you're doing is building a major gift system. So fundraiser, we covered a lot today. If you want help installing this into your real life, your real portfolio, your real schedule, your real goals, I want you to watch a webinar that I filmed. The link is below. It's a 60-minute training that walks you through the entire 4-part system. And it's going to show you how to create major gift momentum without relying on, or being scattered. So I'll put the link below. All right, fundraiser, your work matters, your time matters. Go triage your portfolio and move the right donors forward this week. Hey fundraiser, thanks so much for being here today. Did you know that we create a special page for each episode that contains helpful links, episode highlights, standout quotes, and freebies? Check it out in today's podcast description. If you loved what you heard today, would you kindly give us a rating and review? It really helps other fundraising professionals find our Hey Fundraiser community. I'm Mary Petersen, and thank you for listening.